Guys, thank you so much once again for being here on the Leadgen Underground. Today, I'm excited to have Chris Logan on. I'm meeting him for the first time, but Chris is actually talking about a subject that we've never talked about before, and that hasn't happened too often here. So Chris is going to talk about bird dogging today. Chris, why don't you give us a short intro just about who you are and what you do down in Tampa, and we are going to go just for like 30 minutes only, just to get all the gold nuggets in here.
Sure. Yeah, thanks, Joshua, for inviting me on the call. Really appreciate it. I've always enjoyed the content you guys share in Leadgen Underground. I haven't had a chance to really participate too much, but you guys deliver on the content, that's for sure. So thanks for that.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, so my wife and I, Heather Logan and I, my name's Chris Logan, we started a real estate wholesaling business about 4 years ago in Tampa Bay. And that's pretty much what we still do. We're 95% of our business is wholesale. We've grown from just she and I working in the business to now we have a complete team. We have 2 acquisition managers, 2 disposition managers. We have an in-house call center of around like 15 people.
Wow.
On our team. And then we have marketing assistants, VAs, and all that other stuff. So we've grown to a nice size team. And right now we're doing around like 7 to 8 deals a month. And we're in 3 different markets right now, and our business operates 100% virtually. So we have total virtual business. We contract them over the phone, we sell them over the phone, and at the end of the day, we do the virtual model.
Hey man, I love it. If you guys have been paying attention and you've been here on more than just a handful of episodes, you've seen now the shift, especially since COVID, for people going fully virtual. How long have you guys been fully virtual now?
So we've been blessed to have made the switch to virtual a year before COVID happened. So at the beginning of last year, yeah, we pretty much went 50-50. So we were closing 50% over the phone and then 50% in person, just kind of seeing the numbers and getting comfortable with switching over gradually virtual. And I think that's really important when you're switching to virtual is to do it gradually. Just don't say, okay, I'm just going to switch, because it is a totally different business model. But we went to be 100% virtual in the last quarter of last year. And this entire year, we've been doing it all virtual since then too. So
that's amazing. Good for you, buddy. Well, talk to me a little bit. We're here to talk about bird dogging, right? So obviously that's been very successful for you. Talk to me a little bit about the lead gen channels that you use, and then we'll dive into bird dogging.
Yeah, sure. So we use a lot of different types of lead channels right now. Cold calling is one of our biggest channels as far as volume goes.
Yep.
ROI is still strong there. I think we're averaging around $2,200 a contract with cold calling. We do RVM. We also do texting, and I think those two are somewhere between $1,500 to $2,000 a contract there. But those are our 3 main channels: cold calling, RVM, and text. And then we also, within those, we have different lists that we target, and bird dogging is one of the lists that we generate daily, and that's one we target with all 3 of those channels.
Fantastic. Okay. Well,
we also do some pay per lead stuff too as well.
Okay, got it. Well, you're brave if you're doing RVM in Florida, right?
I think it's all about implementation and execution, right? And if you're doing it the right way and you have respect for people with just how you treat them when they call back, and you're being careful. To me, I think RVM is the new bandit sign, right? So I don't know if many of you guys on the call today have ever tried bandit signs in your area and you've been threatened by local code enforcement or said that you're going to get these gargantuan fines. It's ridiculous, right? Depending on how you implement the channel depends on how much trouble you get into it, right? And so I think there's a way to go about it. We found a way to get around that with bandit signs here in Tampa too. And it's just going about it the right way, I think. And if not mentioning your company name too until you confirm the person's actually a serious seller, all that, it's very similar to other marketing channels.
Got it. Okay, very cool. So let's dive into bird dogging. How did you guys start using bird dogs? How does the process go now for you?
Yeah, so great question. So in the beginning, it was kind of funny. We started doing bird dogging the way that most people do. And we were driving for dollars in our car, going through neighborhoods, riding down, being a creeper, driving by houses, people wondering what you're staring at, type of thing, right? And so we'd write all those down, put them in an Excel sheet. And what we found, it was just really hard to manage. And number two, the other thing that was tough was setting aside the time to do it consistently, right?
Yep.
So like 1 week we'd have time, the next week we wouldn't. When we first started, we were both working for a corporate job, right? And it was a, high pressure sales job. We were working 60, 70 hours a week. And so finding that time to consistently do it was tough. And even when we grew a business, having me step out and drive for dollars, I knew that wasn't going to be efficient either. So I always thought about, how could I scale this without involving me in the actual driving? Because I think most investors hate doing the actual driving themselves, but they still don't want to miss out on the juicy leads and deals that come with driving for dollars. So what I did is I started taking each piece of it and said, okay, how could I outsource this and how could I automate this? So we started out by putting a bandit sign, in a Amscot parking lot, right? In Walmart parking lots, basically offering a property finder opportunity, $500 cash reward, call now type of thing. And my phone blew up. I got like 100 calls in a day. It was absolutely bananas, right? I was talking to all these people. Some guys just want to pick your brain. Some were curious, some were serious. And what I found is that it was really tough to manage that. And I was like, man, I just created a job with all these calls coming in, right? And so my next move was basically to take that phone number and turn it into a website, then to have them go to a website and opt in. Then came the problem of managing all the leads, right?
Yep.
So we eventually built out this system that allows us to basically market anywhere we want, however we want, right? Craigslist is also huge for bird dogs, finding people to be a bird dog for your company. And we post ads there, we put out bandit signs. And now what's great is like the calls come in and they go to a recorded line, they'll opt into our website or they'll just go to a website directly. They get trained automatically, because that was the other thing that was a big problem for us, was setting aside time to train these people, right? That was crazy because, people would be like, hey, let me just hop on a quick Zoom meeting with you for 30 minutes, or let me just give you a call for about 30 minutes or so. And it always ends up being like an hour, right? And you're like, man, I have so many other things that I need to be doing in my business, and this just is not where I need to be. Like, I want to spend time with people who are proven to provide results before I invest my time, right?
Yes,
time is very valuable. So one of the biggest reasons why you want to outsource bird dogs and you want people to start bringing you properties and finding properties for you is time leverage, right? Time's limited, guys. That's like the biggest thing for us all. We're always wanting to have more time so we can do more. And the way you do that is the way you do anything else in your business. Just outsource it and then have someone else do it. And then, take advantage of the part of it that requires that requires the time where you get the most return.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
bird dogs now, you're putting out signs, you have some sort of lead magnet where you're drawing them into the top of a funnel. You're then qualifying them. They're then getting opted in. They're then going through this training period, right? So like total time commitment, and then even like numbers, how many people are calling and then opting in and then training, and then like how long does that take them to do?
Yeah, great question. So we have a pretty streamlined process now. So when people opt in, they immediately get all the training materials to get going, right? So we have a page that kind of teases the opportunity. Would you like to make money from home? Blah, blah, blah. They opt into that. They get the training materials delivered to them instantly. And then I would say within about 2 to 3 days of them opting in, they're out there submitting properties.
Wow.
Right? So it's become really streamlined as far as that goes. And when you're finding bird dogs, the biggest thing you have to think about is, where are my people hiding, or where are my people gathering, right? That's what we're always thinking about with marketing. And so if you want to find someone that's looking to make extra money to bring you houses, you have to classify them really, I think, in 3 different groups. So number one, you have aspiring investors, people that want to get into real estate, they just don't know how, right? Yep. So those are a good group because they're willing to grind it out. They want to learn everything they can and work with an established investor just like yourself, right? So that's huge. The second is the work from homers, right? I call them the work from homers because they're always looking for work from home opportunities to make additional money, right? Whether it's working at home physically or working around their general area in their morning commute or their daily commute, right? And then the last category you have people that wouldn't mind making a little extra money doing what they're already doing, right? So these are your Uber drivers. These are your Lyft drivers. These are people that deliver groceries. They're your mailman that comes to your mailbox every single day, right? garbage men. It could be, and another thing that's huge too is if you have a renovation company where you're renovating houses, flipping them, right? Approaching your contractor saying, hey guys, here's a link, or here's what I'm looking for as far as these types of houses. If you can, you just write down the address or send me this address, on the way to the projects, on the way back to projects, or if you go to, any other projects, that'd be great. And then I'll give you $500 if I turn that lead into an opportunity, right?
Very
so
cool.
That's huge. And a little secret as far as finding contractors like that. Let's say you're operating a wholesaling business, you don't have these contractors, right? Placing a sign maybe in the parking lot of a Home Depot. So again, we're going back to asking yourself, where are my people congregating, right?
Yes.
So what we do is we basically just identify those places that people are congregating, and we place a message in front of that audience. And, shockingly enough, the people jump into that message, they respond, and they'll start submitting leads.
That's awesome. Guys, I'm loving this because Chris, I've never heard, I like I said, I haven't talked to anyone else about utilizing bird dogs, but you obviously have a system down, and you obviously have something that's very well vetted, and you've gone through this process a lot. I've not heard anyone else talk about like this before. So guys, you're the first on this call, unless you're in Chris's group, to be learning about this in a system. I think this is awesome. So Chris, let's go into talking about, Nick asked how much you pay him, and you keep alluding to $500. So it's like a $500 flat fee?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. So in the very beginning, what we did is we placed $250 on the sign. And then we're like, man, we're being cheap. We're just going to bump up to $500. But still, I got a ridiculous amount of calls, even at $250. So my bottom line that I'm getting at is pay them whatever you're comfortable with. I think you should probably max it out at $500 just so it doesn't draw any attention, unwanted attention of paying someone that's not licensed too much money, right? But what we do and how we get around that, because you may be a realtor on the call, or you may, have someone that's a realtor asking if they could submit leads to you or whatever. At the end of the day, what I tell the bird dogs is they get paid $500 for leads in bulk submitted up until that time where we turn that into an opportunity for our company.
Very cool. Okay. So to become an opportunity, that's when they get paid?
So once we close on the property, they get paid. So there is zero out-of-pocket expense. They give you free leads, and then you work them. Once you close, you let them know that if they submit a lead that turns into an opportunity for our company or a deal for our company, we'll pay them after the closing, essentially.
Very cool. Okay. And so now, in terms of, I know you're talking about training and things like that, and this is probably in that piece. But how do they know where to drive? How do they know exactly what type of homes to look for? What neighborhoods, zip codes, anything like that?
Yeah, great question. So what we do is we basically, they opt into our system, and then they get a PDF download that basically talks about, what is a bird dog? What is the, what's the purpose of them? Like, how do they make additional money? Like looking for vacant houses, the types of houses that we're looking for, what we're not looking for. We show them pictures of new builds, things that have realtor signs out in the front, obviously things we're not looking for like that. So we show them what we're looking for, what we're not looking for, and then basically some telltale signs of how you can identify if a property is a good property, right? Maybe like mail piled up in the mailbox, stick signs on the door with blue tape. Maybe there's grass is overgrown. The property just looks sad in general, right? Yeah. Distressed. And, as an investor, we know that if a property's in rough shape on the outside, chances are it's going to be on rough shape on the inside, right? And so they'll even submit pictures. We tell them to take 1 to 2 pictures of the outside, and they submit those pictures to us. And so when we go to call them, we have a good idea as far as the condition way ahead of the call.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. So Sam said, is that classified as a finder fee or marketing fee?
I would call it a marketing fee.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah. And basically what we do is we put on there, as far as the reason for pay, is payment for leads in bulk. Payment for leads in bulk, marketing services rendered.
Okay, got it. And so in terms of the number of drivers, how many have you found is like ideal for you? Is it as many as possible, or are you trying to drill down to get like 1 per zip code, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so what we do is I go for volume, right? So we've generated over, I want to say a little over 1,000 bird dogs and a little over 2,000 property leads. And so with that being said, volume is the name of the game, right? So we created this system to be able to scale it and to be able to make it to where it takes the same amount of effort to recruit one bird dog or 1,000, it doesn't matter. And the same amount of time invested in that. And if you're constantly out there and you're recruiting new bird dogs every single day, then you're constantly going to have that new opportunity coming in every single day.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
the thing is some people opt in and they will just, they're curious, they're looky-loos, right? They're curious about the opportunity. They'll go through the training and they're like, it's not for me, right? But who cares? We didn't spend any time with them, right? And then you have people that say, I know I want to do this. I'm going to be serious about doing this because I want to be a real estate investor one day, right? And those guys will submit like 300 leads. And then you have people that are just like, if I could do this and bring in 5 to 10 leads a month and, get $500 every other month, I'm cool with it, right?
Sure.
So everybody has different goals. And some people just want to be a part of something, Like they
Absolutely.
see that you're making a big impact in the community and they want to be a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point right there, because we were just talking about this the other day. I think at our mastermind at Investor Fuel, and it's just like, everyone kind of sees themselves in other people, where they're like they assume that the other people at the mastermind joined for the same reason they did, right? To really like
Yeah.
10x their business. And that's just
Yeah.
so not the case. There might be, 20, 25% of those people. The other people want to be part of something. The other people want to learn something. They just have different reasons for joining or being a part of that group. So that's a really good point there.
Yep.
I think I know the answer to this, but you mentioned the 3 groups of people who were really getting into the bird dog program for you. Which ones have you found the most success with?
The ones that I've seen to be the most successful really are the aspiring investors, and then the people who want to make more money doing what they're already doing. The work from homers, we get a lot of leads from those types of people, right? But it's like they submit a burst and then they wait till you convert them, and they submit a burst and then they wait. The aspiring investors, they're willing to do whatever it takes. They have a dream. They have somewhere that they want to be, right? And then the Uber Lyft drivers, those guys, they're driving around already. Why wouldn't they? So
Absolutely.
and on that side, we've had the most success with contractors that have been submitting leads, that have been going to different properties. They're already out and about, and if they see a property, it literally takes zero effort on their behalf to be able to get that opportunity to us.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. The contractors is a really good one, because obviously if you're a flipper and you're in that neighborhood flipping a home, you're interested in all the other homes in that area that look dilapidated, vacant, whatever it may be, right? So that's a really, really good one to be able to blanket like hyper locally, I would think.
Yep.
Okay, so the aspiring investors and the Uber drivers, the extra money people, are the best.
Yeah.
What kind of, speak to the KPIs a little bit. How many leads
Sure.
does someone really have to submit for you to get a deal in your market?
Yeah. So what we're finding is that for every 20 to 30 leads that have been submitted, that typically results in 1 contract.
Wow, that's good numbers right there.
Yeah. And I think it's mainly due to how we go about it too. So a lot of times people, when they're marketing, when they skip trace a lead, they're only going after the primary owner, right?
Yeah.
But we're going after all the people on file, right? So if there's 2 owners, 3 owners, like we're calling every single one of those guys.
Okay.
And so your chances of actually reaching the person that owns the property, or at least one of them, goes up dramatically. It already increases 50% because you're reaching out to someone additional that other people probably aren't reaching out to.
Yeah, absolutely. So you say the other owners on record, and I see that a lot in terms of inherited homes, right?
Yeah.
Inherited
Sure.
homes, or maybe even probate cases where there'll be relatives on there. Is that what you're speaking about, other people on title, or are you speaking about just other relatives as well?
No, you could approach it either way, but mainly what I'm referring to is other people on title. Sometimes, you have a husband and wife on title. Maybe they're getting a divorce, but it hasn't gone through yet. So they're both still there, and you can't reach the guy, but you call the wife. She's, yeah, I want to sell this thing, right? When it comes to probate, the executor, and then if you can't get a hold of them, calling the other people like relatives and things like that. So you're 100% right on that. But, with this, I'm more so talking about if there's anybody else on title. So if there's husband and wife, maybe it's 3 brothers that inherited a property, something like that. But what's been really interesting is we've been able to capture some leads that people can't get at, right? Which is like, we've had one of our bird dogs driving by a property that a guy was in over his head on the renovation. He just basically threw up his hands and said, "I'm done." And he was walking out of the house with his box of things, ready to put a period on the renovation and sell it. And then they sent us that opportunity. We were able to get in touch with him, and I don't think he would have been on any list. So you get access to leads like that too, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, isn't that something? There's something to be said for being able to pick a list and
Mhm.
skip trace it and to deploy whatever marketing to it, right? And then you're like a fisherman with a big net. You're going to bring in lots and lots of stuff. You don't know what. It's not really targeted. It's only as targeted as your list is at the top of the
Yeah.
funnel. But you're going to miss a certain percentage of these huge deals that, like you're just talking about, something that only the real eyes on that house are going to spot when you come across that timing bubble, right? So there's something
Mhm.
really to be said for that. Do you find that any number of your deals, besides just one-offs like that, or more than just that one, falling into your lap because of this bird dog method?
So there's a lot of different reasons. We've had like we've had people that are absentee owners, but they haven't. They're still declaring their that house as a
Mm,
homestead, so it's
yep.
not showing that they're absentee, right? So, but they're living in another state, and the property's just kind of sitting there. Maybe it has fines against it, maybe it doesn't. But we find unique opportunities like that to where they wouldn't necessarily come back on an out-of-state absentee owner list, right? Because he hasn't reported that property as not being his homestead, and so it's just you get unique opportunities like that.
Sure. Yeah, that's really, really cool. Okay. And you said 20 to 30 leads per one contract. How
Mhm.
many leads on average do you think? Well, talk to me about maybe your best bird dogs and then like the average bird dog. What's the amount of leads that they're putting in per day, per week, whatever?
Yeah, so each bird dog, on average, if you take, if you say, okay, out of all the bird dogs combined that you recruit, your average should be 1 to 2 leads per bird dog that you have, right? But there are some bird dogs that are going to submit 300 leads themselves. There's going to be some that'll only submit 5, some that'll submit 10, some will submit 30, some that'll submit 1. But as an average, when you divide the number of leads that were brought in by the number of bird dogs you have, it'll average out to 1 to 2 leads per bird dog,
Is that per week or like total?
just total overall.
Okay. Got it. So are you just setting them out on their own into neighborhoods that you like? Or are you sending them any addresses or neighborhoods specifically?
So what we do is we basically tell them, hey, we want to cast the wide net. So we're saying we're looking for properties in, here's the list of counties that we're looking for properties in. If you can find properties there, it makes sense, send it over and we'll get to work on it.
Really
So
cool.
we're casting a large net, basically giving all the counties that we're looking to pick up properties in.
Got it. Very cool. And you had mentioned 1,000 before. Is that just in your market across those 3 counties?
Yeah. Yeah. The majority of those are in the Tampa Bay area because we just entered some of those other virtual markets recently. So I would say probably, 75% of those are in the Tampa Bay area, and then the other 25% are coming from our other virtual markets.
Very cool. Okay. That's where I was going next in terms of you're operating virtually in your own market, just like I am. Baltimore
Yep.
City is only 12 miles from here. I'm in Baltimore County. We're doing virtual deals all around, right? I'm never seeing the
Yep.
houses, though I just scheduled an appointment on Friday because it's only about a half mile up the road. Um, but is there any impediment? Is there any sort of uphill battle or climb to setting this system up in a completely virtual market where you don't live far away?
No, see, that's the thing. That's what we designed it for too. I guess subconsciously, because my main thing is I want to take myself out of the driving, and I just wanted other people to bring us leads, right? But we didn't realize that you could actually, having our business transition into a 100% virtual wholesaling operation, you can use this and actually have it copy and paste in other markets, and it's very simple. We make it to where we can actually track the number of bird dogs in each market. You can track the number of leads in each market. I mean, it's pretty serious, and we've made it with that in mind. Virtual is the future, right? You have Open Door and Zillow Offers and all those guys, OfferPad. They kind of started that revolution of getting sellers more comfortable with it. The people that are, not as familiar with technology, and now it's becoming like the norm, right? So that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to have this be able to duplicatable and be able to set up in any market. And I think it's a great way to even test the new market. If you're considering going into a new market, get some bird dogs in the area, get some leads coming in, see exactly, the types of properties you're going to be working with, convert those. And then after you convert those, then start deploying the rest of your marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good idea. And so to do that virtually, for me, the first step would be putting that lead magnet somewhere digitally, right? Not actually in the Home Depot parking lot.
Yes. Yeah.
Which, by the way, are you putting that like in a car, the sign, or are you just nailing it like to one of the garden beds in the parking lot, or?
Yeah, we have a we call him a property inspector. He's on our team and he drives out and he puts out a sign there, and he probably puts out maybe a handful of signs a week out there. But the majority of our leads actually come from Craigslist.
Wow. Okay.
So classified ad websites in the labor sections where people are looking for pay for the day opportunity. Those guys, if they're looking in the labor section, they want to work hard, right? And so, gigs, services, real estate services, financial, all that. We use Craigslist a lot because Craigslist is a beast when it comes to traffic. I mean, it's one of the most underutilized things for real estate investors. I mean, I think a lot of real estate investors think that, Craigslist is an old marketing strategy and maybe it's too competitive or no one's going to Craigslist anymore, but it's quite the opposite.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. So you're targeting the labor section there online, doing anything like Facebook Marketplace or anything like that?
We have, but the thing is Facebook's very particular about ads that go up, and they'll go up, but then they'll take them down. So what we do is we still post there, but the ads just don't stay up there as long as Craigslist, because Craigslist, they're now paid ads. So it's like $5 an ad that you post. But with Facebook, the way I look at it's like this, right? Say you're on a highway where you have 500,000 cars coming back and forth every single day, right? Even if you could have your marketing message there for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever the case may be, yes, it gets taken down, but how many people saw it while it was up, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I try to think of when we're implementing some of these strategies. I'm like, okay, I don't care if it's going to get taken down. That's fine. We'll just keep posting more. But how long is it staying up, and what are we getting when it's staying up, right?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, that's really, really good. Man, you just dropped some gold there. To hop into a new market, I think this would be just a golden way to start, right? Because it's so passive. You're not having to pull lists. You're not having to skip trace. You're not having to get a cold caller. You're not having to do any of that stuff. You post an ad up for a lead magnet, and then you're getting someone driving to feed you leads. That's really, really cool.
Yep.
Okay.
So they submit the address. You still skip trace the address that they send you,
Sure.
but you're not buying a list of like 15,000 or 30,000 and skip tracing it. You're literally getting free leads coming in, and then basically you skip trace that with a one-off skip tracing service. Yeah, you get the information you call.
That's really cool. So we're coming down to the back end of the show here where we have like 5 minutes or so left. I'm curious to see how you guys are attacking those leads once they come in. So say your iPhone dings, you got a new lead from a bird dog that came in and you're like, oh crap, this is a hot one. What do you do next? What's like your timeline? How does that flow?
Yeah, sure. So basically what happens, a new bird dog signs up, they submit a lead, and then what happens, our VA gets notified within our system that a new lead's been submitted, and then she'll go in and she will get the information from the local property appraiser website. She'll skip trace it, get the phone number and email, and then she sends it over to the acquisition managers or our cold callers. And so our cold callers will then call through that list, and they'll get the people that are interested, get all the information, and to submit a qualified lead to acquisitions. Acquisitions calls them, they lock them up, and we sell the deal.
Wow, really cool. So you got a nice streamlined process there.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. And so in terms of like, this is one thing that I'm trying to implement in my market. It's a little bit different than just being a straight up bird dog, but it's really now, my buddy Mike Flora out in California does reverse bandit signs. He'll actually go put a sign on someone's lawn that says, I want to buy this house, please call me. And he'll get like, I think like 5 to 1 pissed off to happy phone calls, right? People are like, what is this? This is my neighborhood. But anyway, he gets results out of it. And so I'm super now interested in diving really deep into the certain neighborhoods in my market. I'm really big on 80-20 everything. And I've been pulling lots of data from myself and my competitors to find out the zip codes that are the absolute hottest, right? And those zip codes I want to go super deep into. And so part of that now is I'd like to get someone on my team driving for dollars or a bird dog that will go out to those specifically and take pictures and check that kind of shape and really hit like a targeted list. Is that something that you guys do as well? Like another level of this?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's just another way to think about it, and have another source of people to submit leads. I mean, even if you're running a virtual model, like you have people that go out to houses to take pictures, right? Why not have them submit leads on the way over to the house, right? So yeah, so I love like out of the box thinking like that. So that's definitely a way that you can do it. And if anybody is looking to set something like this up, like this system that I've been talking about, I'm about to release a product called Bird Dog Lead Machine. What it is essentially it takes the entire bird dog process and it makes it to where you can be removed from it. You can have it run automatically. People can submit leads to your company without you spending a single minute in the car. And then from there, you can just work the leads and then get deals.
Wow,
And,
that is really cool. And so that basically what you've been talking about this whole time, like how everything's automated with the video and the training and all that.
Yes.
This is a product that you're releasing now?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a system that has been working really well for us. And there's been a lot of people that have approached us about it and say, hey, like, I see this thing that you have. How can I get that? Right. And so I thought about it. And at first I was like, I'm not really interested in putting that together. But after thinking about it, there were just kept people coming up and asking more and more about it. So I was like, you know what, there's a big need for this. A lot of these other systems are telling people to get in their car and spend 6 hours finding houses. It's crazy. So I had to have something come out to where it could save people time, effort, and money. And so it had such a big impact on our business. So I wanted to share it. And so, yeah, so the product is called a Bird Dog Lead Machine. And we actually should be releasing next week. And it'll allow everybody on the call who signs up for the system to be able to take that and basically do exactly what we're doing.
Dude, I love that.
Trying to keep track of them with spreadsheets, no more time in the car. You know, and what's kind of funny is we've recruited over 1,000 bird dogs, and I've only had a conversation with maybe a handful of them over the entire period of time we've been doing it. So it takes the communication out. You don't have people pinging you daily, asking you, hey, what's going on with this lead? What's going on with this lead? All the communication's done, the follow-up. We do automation on seller outreach. So we have a lot of templates. We send sellers emails through the system too. So all that's done, pre-written, all done. And what's great is whenever a new lead gets out of the system, it also adds it to a dialer too. So basically, if you have a cold caller or a VA, a lead manager, you just have them log in the dialer, or your acquisition manager, you, whatever, have them log in the dialer and just click start, and you're calling on these leads.
Wow, isn't that something? So is this like a CRM, or what is it actually that you're releasing? Because that sounds pretty intense. Like it does a lot.
Yeah, so what it is it's a we built it out on Podio, and what I like to think of it as, I don't just like to think of it as a bird dog system. It's sort of like a marketing system all in one too, because we just don't like, it also comes with a website as well. So remember I told you I drive people to a website. So we give you the exact website. We give you the templates that we post on Craigslist. We give the call scripts we use to call the bird dogs to convert the leads. Like, it's literally an entire system to do deals. So
wow, cool. Dude, that's amazing. I love this, guys, because as you can see, Chris is an absolute practitioner of this, right? There's a lot of people out there who are trying to sell crap, and they don't really do it. They haven't come up with it, but this was actually a need that Chris came up with, and people are asking for it. And it's like the universe is tapping you on the shoulder, right? Like, you don't want to do it, and you're like, get away. And then you got too many people coming at you. So you're like, hey, let's go. But I think that's amazing.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, so I'm super pumped about it. I mean, it's been a big passion project for mine for a long time, because we saw that a lot of like bird dog leads are just very lucrative leads, right? And, one of the questions I think you'd asked me before was, where do I see things going in 2021? Well, I think that, this has strategies like this, doing things that everybody else isn't doing.
Yes.
Right. Is huge. Doing things, I mean, marketing is getting very, very expensive. I don't know if you guys have noticed that or not.
Yeah.
But, and while the numbers still make sense for us to get deals, right? At the end of the day, like, everyone's going after the same thing, right? I feel like coming in 2021, we're going to have to diversify, guys. We're going to have to implement things like this. We're going to have to, wholesale more if you're a wholesaler. You're going to have to focus more on relationships, referrals from realtors, from attorneys, all those things, bird dogging, all that. The stuff that, you can get, because one of the reasons why I think a lot of real estate investors have a hard time scaling their business is because they solely focus just on paid marketing and that's it, right? They don't have referral relationships coming in. And that's what a lot of other businesses have. Like you look at a painter, a contractor, a roofer, whatever, right? Those guys, they have people calling saying, hey, I was referred by so-and-so who did my last house. Referrals in this business, it doesn't happen all the time from sellers. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But the relationships are the things that we got to build, the things with those realtors, attorneys, other wholesalers. And we have to stop looking at competition and start looking at collaboration.
Yeah, 100%, man. I think I agree with every word that you just said, but really this is like a hybrid mix of something that's virtual, but it's also boots on the ground. So you're leveraging people and money here, right? And this is just a unique enough mix. It's a tried and true method, bird dogging, and now you've added some technology into it. And this is something where a lot of other people aren't going to go through the effort of doing it, right? Just that initiation effort of picking it up, starting the system, and then really maintaining it. A lot of people aren't even going to keep up with that. So I couldn't agree more that this is the kind of marketing that people really need to dive into in this coming year. That's a really good point.
Absolutely. And guys, if anyone's interested in learning more about the system, Joshua, if you're okay with it, I'm going to post a link in the chat where people can join the waitlist for it. We should be releasing next week. And so I will, once you opt in for this, at that point, you'll be able to be notified right at the release. And if you'd like to move forward with it, take advantage of it right then. So, okay. The link is bdleadmachine.com/LGU for Leadgen Underground.
bdleadmachine.com/LGU. That's awesome. That's really cool. I'm going to go sign up right after this. Guys, this is like, man, I wish I had you on last week, dude, because I just came back from Investor Fuel and I sat on lead generation panel and I'm talking to all my friends, like lead generation is my passion, right? You see me, I get so like hyped, right? I'm talking about it. Yeah. Everyone's just like, oh, SMS. Oh, it's going to crap. Oh, cold calling. I don't want to do that. Well, then mail or PPC. What's left, right? And like, we didn't even talk about this. And dude, I think this is like such a big niche that's going to be a big opportunity. And I wish I could have talked about this last week, but I guess I will next time. So, dude, this is really freaking wild. Dude, 2 questions left really quick. Phil asked, have you incorporated virtual bird dogging at all through Google Maps? And is this your main source of lead generation within your 3 markets?
Great question. So virtual bird dogging with Google Maps, me personally, I don't like it because Google Maps sometimes are old. They don't refresh those as often as I'd like. And I want real time. I don't want old time. I want real time. So what I want is drivers driving around, finding houses, taking a real snapshot of the house of its present condition. And then I want them sending us that picture so we can know what it looks like ahead of time and give the seller a call. Because I don't know if you guys have seen this sometimes, but there are some areas that don't update as fast with Google Maps. And so you may say, oh, the house looks like it's in great condition, but then a member of your team goes out to see it and it's in terrible condition, right? So terrible condition for us is better. And it maybe help you approach the call in a different way if you actually knew what the real-time view of it, right? And is this my main source of lead generation with my 3 markets? So this is one of our main channels in the 3 markets that we're in. So we use multiple channels, but I consider this a lead source. I do not consider this a channel. Okay, very important, guys, because if you consider it a lead source, your mind is going to be open to saying, okay, I don't have to just there's not one way to market these. I can cold call them. I can text them. I can RVM them. I can do all those things. The point is to get to the lead before the next guy, right?
Yeah, so much.
Get to them as soon as possible.
Yeah, I love that. That's just like a little mind trick that you can play on yourself right there, right? You reclassify something, you think about it differently. That's really good.
Yeah.
And then Nick asked, can we incorporate the leads into beast mode?
Yes, you can. So how it works basically is, if you move forward with Bird Dog Lead Machine, it gets set up in a separate workspace in Podio. And what you could do is you could set up some type of zap that moves the lead over to your leads app in beast mode.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I mean, that's light work nowadays with setting up a zap and moving it over. That's easy. So really good stuff.
We recommend working it out we recommend working the lead within the workspace because there's certain apps and automated follow-up you can set up for sellers and stuff like that. But once you actually get a hold of the seller and lead's been qualified and you're like, okay, this is a good lead to submit to acquisitions, or this is a great lead for me to call back and get this under contract. At that point, you'd want to push it over. I don't think you'd want to push it over before then.
Yeah, amazing. Okay. 2 last questions really quick. One, what is a book that you would recommend to everyone? I'm huge on books.
Okay, so a book that I've read recently has been a great book, and it's Get a Grip. I believe it's the one right before Traction. So big mistake that I made is I dove into Traction first, and I tried to implement everything from the Traction book. And as bright as I like to think I am, it was a lot to try and implement all at once, right? So when I went ahead and read Get a Grip, it explained a lot of the gaps that were being left out of Traction, and it brings the whole thing together and it makes it really easy to implement. So I recommend that. And then the other book that I recommend, let's see, what is another book that I'm reading right now? Give me 1 second. It's by John Maxwell. I'm trying to remember. I want to say it's Living Intentionally or something like that.
Okay.
It's a really, really good book by John Maxwell. I mean, anything by John Maxwell in leadership is just amazing. So
absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Last question.
Mm-hmm.
What is your BHAG, your big, hairy, audacious goal? Why do you do everything that you want to do? Where do you want to get to in the future? What do you want to achieve?
That's a great question. So my big, hairy, audacious goal is total freedom from the business, so we can travel. I'm very big on travel. My wife and I we love traveling, and we like to do it more. And so our next step is hiring a sales manager within our business, so they can kind of take over the communication between our acquisitions and our disposition managers. They can hire more salespeople, and then which will allow us to be a little bit more free and do things and travel a little bit more than we are right now.
Yeah, that's amazing. This is the business to provide for that sort of freedom, right? Real estate is like the last frontier. It is.
Yeah, I think we get into this business, right, and we forget that that's the whole reason we got into it, right? We get in this business, we go grind mode, we're like, yeah, working 10, 12 hours a day. It's fantastic.
Yep.
Right? But at the end of the day, that's not the reason we got into this business. We got into this business to create freedom, right?
So much.
And the only way you can create freedom is by hiring people to replace you and basically turn yourself into a business owner where you're overseeing a machine that's running and not actually operating in it every single day.
Yeah, absolutely. So much. All right, guys, after this episode, right after this ends, go to bdleadmachine.com/LGU to sign up. Where would you like everyone to go follow you after this?
Yeah, so you can connect with me on Facebook. On Facebook, I go by Christopher Logan, so you can connect with me there. And then if you do a search for @BirdDogLeadMachine on Facebook, you can give our page a like and follow the launch of the release.
Oh, so cool. That's amazing. Well, man, we had really good timing, even though I wish I'd had you on like a week or two ago, but I'm so glad you came today, man. This has really been eye-opening. I think this is going to be a nice source of leads for everyone on the call here. And I'm excited for everyone here to be able to jump into your system and start getting going in their own markets. So Chris, awesome. Thank you so much. We've gone over on time. We're like 40 something minutes right now. But Chris, thank you so much for being here today, man. I really appreciate your time. Guys, thank you so much for being here as always. I really enjoyed having you here. Go tell a friend about the group and give me a follow on YouTube as well.
No problem. Thanks again, Josh. I appreciate the opportunity.
Chris, thanks so much. Talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.
All right, bye guys.